Hello and welcome to a video edition of Seminole Sidelines. We taped our weekly podcast last week, but Florida State got some big news last night, and our version of Mel Kiper, Charles Fishbein, who is our Osceola recruiting analyst and president of Elite Scouting Services, is joining us. Fish, last night, FSU learned that it got its 8th commitment of the 2022 recruiting class in the form of 4-star quarterback A.J. Duffy, who is at IMG Academy via the West Coast. He's originally from California, but transferred to IMG when COVID hit, and they did not play football in 2020 in California. At least his high school did not. But you and I have had a lot of conversations over a lot of prospects and personnel on Florida State's roster, and we have had some very nice exchanges about what we think, but I think we both agree on this one. This is a big time getting for Florida State. We both think that he is one of the best quarterbacks in the country coming out in class of 2022. And just tell us your thoughts on AJ's commitment to FSU and Mike Norvell.
I mean, first off, quarterback position is the most important position on the field. And whether it's college, high school, pros, without a great quarterback, you could have Bill Belichick back there. You could have Bill Walsh, any of the great coaches. You're not winning without a quarterback. And that's been Florida State's biggest problem the last few years is the inconsistency at that position. And since Jameis has been there, they haven't had a guy they could count on. And I think this is the best quarterback that they've gotten a commitment from since Jameis. And I also think he's one of the best in the country.
Yeah, and I agree. In the 3 years, this will be the third season of the Osceola, or I've been with the Osceola, that we covered Florida State football, and by far of the quarterbacks that I have watched. And listen, they're going to have it's going to be a very competitive room in 2022. But in my opinion, this is the best prospect they have gotten a commitment from or signed in the 3 years that we have been recovering. I've been recovering football for the Osceola, and he's a kid that you watch his film, Fish. He's advanced fundamentally and technically from where most kids are at that time in their development, sophomore and junior. What do you see on film that you like on AJ?
I mean, like either the second or third clip of his video, he throws a ball down the middle of the field. First off, as his back foot hits the ground, the ball is already out of his hand, and his anticipation and his ability to throw guys open is very impressive. And he's very talented on the deep outs and those almost NFL-like throws. There's very few guys that can fit it into those tight pockets, and he trusts his arm to make those throws, and his ability to throw guys open. And like I said, his anticipation is about as good or as elite level as you could get from a high school quarterback.
Yeah, and one of the things I noticed, and I've already mentioned that he seems to be advanced fundamentally for a kid his age, but one of the things I really like is that quick release. There's no wasted motion. He keeps that ball high up on his right shoulder, which allows him, when he's got to get rid of it, to get rid of it really quick. You see a lot of young quarterbacks who hold that ball kind of towards the middle of their chest, middle of their torso, and have a loop. He does not have that. And then, of course, like you said, he is a guy that can throw receivers open. You do see at times on tape that he can fit the ball in the tight windows between two defenders when you got somebody running deep or on the sideline. He is exceptionally talented athletically. He is considered a drop back passer. In fact, 24/7 has him rated as the 6th best drop back passer or pro style quarterback in this year's class. You can certainly see that. But another thing that you see is that he has great feet, he's great pocket awareness, and when things break down around him, he can make plays with his legs. And not only that, one of the other things I noticed is when the pocket gets dirty, he does not get happy feet. He stays in there. He can move around and buy time in the pocket, and that's something you don't see about with a lot of young quarterbacks. What do you see in that regard?
No, I agree with you 100%. A lot of that stuff is just you need to have. I mean, you want to see how quarterbacks are under pressure, because a lot of guys you see now, it looks like 7-on-7 football when you watch a lot of these high schools, because they spread the field so much and other teams don't have the ability to really put pressure on the quarterback. But you see it with Duffy that when the pressure is in his face, he's able to kind of move around in the pocket. He has very good pocket awareness, and he can slide to his right or left and find that open space for just a second to get rid of the football. but everything about him, his mechanics, his footwork, his ability to get the ball down the field. I think the kid plays like he has confidence as well. I just really like him. I could be dead wrong, but he's one of those guys that I just think he could come in and probably play right away as well because of how advanced he is mechanically and where he is physically. I think Florida State got themselves a great one.
Yeah, I do too. And I concur. You and I have been in lockstep since we started watching his tape. I started watching his tape back in February after he was offered. Certainly an outstanding prospect. You talk about the quarterback room. This was a program that had a hard time signing quarterbacks prior to Mike Norvell arriving on campus. Now in 2022, you could have a quarterback room that features Jordan Travis, Chubba Purdy, Tate Rodemaker, Nicco Marchiol, and now AJ Duffy. Let's talk a little bit about this. It's in today's world, you see quarterbacks kind of it's overgeneralization, but you don't see a lot of big time programs signing two high profile quarterbacks. Does this and affect Nico's commitment or recruitment? And if so, how?
Yeah, not really knowing Nicco personally and getting inside his head and seeing how he thinks, it's tough to say what he's going to do. I mean, it's a different era. I mean, guys used to sign at Florida State. You'd have like 2 and 3 quarterbacks sign at the same time, and they let it play out. These kids today, they don't like adversity. They want everything kind of handed to them. So, I mean, I hope from Nico's standpoint that he does go in there because he still has a great opportunity. The two guys that are at Florida State, Purdy and Tate, haven't shown anything in the limited time that they've played that you're like, all right, I can't beat them out. And at the end of the day, he goes in there. He comes in with Duffy, and Duffy gets hurt. He's right in the mix like that. I don't think there's a greater opportunity for a quarterback to come into a situation than where FSU is next year. Like that thing is wide open, and you're going to have a great shot at winning that job. Just go in there and fight, and you could always make a decision later. But if I'm Nicco, I would sit it out and join that mix because, yeah, there's 4 guys, but none of them are guaranteed that starting job next year.
You're exactly right. And competition, if you play football, is never going to leave. I mean,
no.
especially if your plan is to go to the NFL, if you want to protect yourself as an NFL quarterback. And of course, as you said on AJ, listen, college recruiting is no different than the NFL draft. Some guys are going to hit, some guys are going to miss, but certainly AJ Duffy and Nicco have a skill set that you would think that would allow them to succeed in college at Florida State. Now, FSU has, again, they're putting together a very solid class. AJ Duffy is the 8th commitment for 2022. His commitment moved them from 16th in the nation to 10th in the nation as far as ranking of the 2022 class and number 1 in the ACC. To kind of broaden the conversation, we thought we knew that Mike Norvell and his staff could recruit with the class they signed for 2021, which was in the top 25 according to 24/7. This is still dead period. Now you've got 8 commitments in here. And, does this reinforce to you the fact that this staff can recruit and even better days are ahead once June rolls around and they can actually get in front of prospects?
Yeah. I personally think, and I don't know how you'll think about this, I personally felt, forget all the other players, I thought AJ Duffy was the single most important recruit Mike Norvell has recruited. And the reason I felt that way is he's supposed to be a quarterback guru or an offensive guy, and great offensive coaches land their quarterbacks. I don't care who it is. It's whether it goes all the way back to Norm Chow, whether it's, Jimbo, Tedford, Bryles. These guys land quarterbacks, and it's because quarterbacks trust them, whether they're 4-8 or 8-4 or whatever. This solidifies Coach Norvell right now at Florida State. And all the other pieces are going to fall into place once you have that quarterback. Great players want to play with great players. And if a quarterback signs or commits to a school like Florida State like this, it opens up the floodgates. And now I think it makes recruiting a lot easier. You now go in, you're recruiting an offensive tackle. You're saying, listen, this is our quarterback. We want you to come in and protect him. Or a running back. Hey, you're going to be getting the ball handed to you from one of the best quarterbacks in the country. So I can't emphasize how big of a commitment this is. And I really think Yeah, listen, we talked about this before. Florida State recruits itself. It's not a hard school to recruit to. You make it hard. And it's not whether Norvell and his staff could recruit or not. We knew they could recruit, but this was the first player that they've gotten a commitment from that you said, all right, the tide's turned now. It's finally turned in a positive light that you now have something to sell. They have something to sell to every recruit now. They've got that big piece that they needed.
Yeah, and I think you kind of answered my question, because my question as you were talking was, do you think this is the commitment that sparks other commitments? And obviously, I think we're both on board thinking that, hey, in the coming days and weeks, you're probably going to see some guys jump on board this train.
Yeah, and you may agree or disagree with this. You know, everybody was on this kid. I went on a lot of social media stuff and message boards, and everybody was like, "Oh, well, he's immature." I think this kid took his time, went through the whole. I don't think he got enough credit. He took his time. He took his visits. He didn't lie to anybody. You know, yeah, the word was he was going to Arizona State. He took his time and he made a smart decision. And he came. I think he showed a lot in the recruiting process instead of coming out and saying, "Oh, this team leads or that team leads," and led teams on. I'm impressed with this kid, and I honestly think they finally got somebody that, you know, they can rely on and off the field. So
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand all the criticism these kids get. After all, they are kids. They're going to change their mind. I don't get, I don't get upset. I don't get overly excited when a kid commits, because there's a lot of road to hoe before we get to the national signing day, either in December or February. So I don't understand the criticism he's received, because he's been fairly quiet about it. He's kind of been under the radar for a high profile guy. Listen, again, I agree with you. It's a big time get for Florida State. Hey, Fish. Just wanted to jump on here with you shortly. Obviously, we taped the podcast yesterday, which our listeners can listen to. We'll be posting that later today. But certainly a beautiful day in Tallahassee today, and it was preceded by a beautiful night for the Florida State football team and its fans. And Fish, we will catch up again soon. I want to thank everybody for taking a minute to listen to Fish and I on our video cast of Seminole Sidelines. Fish, thanks for joining us, and I'll talk to you soon.
no problem.